So this is our day 15 and we will learn about inheritance in Java. Today we will see the syntax. We'll talk about why this is required. We'll talk about parent class and child class. So first of all, why inheritance is required? That we should understand. What is inheritance will be automatically clarified then. Okay. So think about a situation that there is one class called employee and there is another class called, let's say, manager. Okay. So I'm making a class here and the class name is employee. Class name is employee. Just a minute. So I'm giving a name employee and there is another class called manager. And employee will have its own properties like employee ID, EMP underscore ID, EMP underscore name, and let's say salary. Okay. And there will be some functions also associated to that class. There will be some functions also which is associated to that class, and those function may be like uh, calculate yearly salary, something like that. Okay. And maybe other thing like calculating the PF or calculating the tax. There may be multiple functions related to employee class. And let's say there is a manager class, but manager is also a kind of employee. Manager is also a type of employee only. So should we declare again employee underscore ID uh, and EMP underscore name and salary for manager again, these properties? No, this is not required to declare again. Instead, what we can do is we can inherit the employee class to manager class. So when you inherit the employee class to manager class, all the properties which are there in employee class by default, until you will declare it private or something, the default, if it has a default access specifier, then employee ID, name and salary will also be a part of manager class. So this employee ID, name and salary will come automatically to manager class. Apart from that, you can create, your own variables. So manager maybe will have, let's say, a property number of subordinates, right? Which a normal employee do not have. Manager has number of subordinates. Manager may have another property called, let's say, number of projects. So one manager can handle, multiple projects, right? So on what are projects where he is like a manager, something like this, right? So there may be different kind of functions, and manager may have their own functions also. So calculate salary is one thing which is already there for all the employees. Apart from that, manager may have his own functions. So probably like appraisal. So manager will do the appraisal, right? And there may be multiple other functions. Okay. And manager may have its own calculate salary also. Calculate yearly sal again. So that will be like one what we say overriding here. So we'll understand about the overriding concept. This is not overloading. Overloading is when in the same class you have multiple functions with the same name. But when you have two class and one class has one function, another class again has some function with the same name, right? Then it will be called overriding. Okay. So manager will have its own function also for calculating yearly salary, and it may have its own implementation. Maybe manager's salary is calculated in other, like there may be a different formula to calculate manager's salary. It may be possible. So let's implement this part first, and you will get to know why, how to implement it. So inheritance is all about inheriting the properties from one class to another class. Inheriting the property or getting the properties from one class to another class. So most of you said like reusability thing. Yes. So once something is written and you want to reuse it, so why to, you know, why to write it again? Why not reuse it, what is already written? All the properties which is already defined, why to, you know, define it again? So let's implement the same. What we are seeing here is, let's say we already have employee class somewhere, I believe. So this is employee.java, which we have already created. Let me delete all those things. So employee we've already created for some example, where we said, okay, employee ID is there, string name is there, double monthly salary is there, double yearly salary is there, and then main function, we are doing something on the main function that doesn't matter here. And then calculate yearly salary when there is a commission, calculate yearly salary when there is a bonus. So it has its own implementation thing. So this is very simple one where employee has class level variables, ID, name, yearly, monthly salary. Okay. So let's make another class, new class manager. Manager. Okay. And this manager class, once you will create it, so if you want to inherit the employee class, the keyword is extends. You have to write extends employee. Okay. So manager extends employee. So when you write something extends another thing, that means this class is the parent class which you extend, and manager is the child class. Okay. It's same as we as a child, you know, we inherit the property of our ancestors, right, or our parents, right? We have properties of our mother and father, or the grandfather, right, or grandmother, and you can have your own properties also, right? It's like this. In the same way, what we are doing here is manager is a new class which extends employee. So now let's understand, if I'll create the object of manager M1 is equals to new manager, and if I write M1 dot, so see, automatically employee ID, salary, name, yearly salary is visible. Why? Why this is visible? Because because manager, when you create object of manager, all the properties which you have in the employee will be accessible to manager's object also. So when I'm writing m1 dot, so I can say employee id is equals to 20, m1 dot monthly salary is equals to 2312, and m1 dot name is equals to testology, anything I'm giving here. In fact, m1 dot calculate salary is also possible. So can I write system dot out dot println m1 dot yearly salary? See, nothing is declared here. All the properties which we are using, the function is behavioral property. Okay. There are two kind of property. One is state and one is behavior. So state is all the variables we say. So method is also it's not get inherited. It's like linked. We will not say methods getting inherited. It's like whatever function you have in the parent class can be used in the child class also. So what we are doing, we are creating manager M1 is equals to new manager. So what we are doing here is we are creating the object of manager. How we create it? We create it like manager M1 is equals to new manager. Okay. You create the object like this. So as we discussed already, when you create object, what happens in the background? In the background, it creates the memory space. Okay. So this memory space is created and the name of this is M1. Okay. What will come here? Here it will come, it will have all the properties which you declared here. So all these things which you declared here, its own properties. Its own properties will come here. Apart from that, what else will come? Whatever property you have in the parent class. So all these properties which you have will also come here. All blank values. Of course, you have to, fill all these values. So in the same way, when we declare manager M1 is equals to new manager, all the properties which you have here in the class level variable on your parent class will also be accessible. So I'm writing m1 dot employee id is 20, m1 dot salary, m1 dot name, then I'm calling calculate yearly salary and then printing it. Okay, then I am printing it also. So let's see whether this will work. So I'm running this program and I am able to see my monthly salary was 2312, and calculate yearly salary was giving us yearly salary, and I printed it again. Actually, calculate yearly salary was already printing this. Yearly salary is this, so I should not print it explicitly. Okay. Now I said that it can have its own um, variables, right? Properties. So we can say, let's say int or double commission. Maybe manager will have some kind of commission. as well. And what was there? Number of subordinates, number of project. So int number of subordinates, okay, and integer number of project. They may have their own properties, whereas employee class do not have number of subordinates and number of project, because every employee will have number of subordinates. It's not possible. It may not be possible, right? There may be individual contributor. They have a team, but nobody reports to them, let's say, right? And but manager may have number of projects under him, so that may come here. And if you want to fill that thing, then also you can do it like m1 dot number of projects is equals to 5, m1 dot number of subordinates is equals to 20. So this is properties of M1. These two are the properties of manager itself. But this property was generalized property in employee class, and you are able to have it. And in fact, we are able to call the functions also. Okay. So in this way, inheritance works. Now, there are different type of inheritance. So let me So this is single inheritance. This is what? Single inheritance. Single. Single inheritance. Single inheritance means here there is a one class and you are inheriting to another class. That's it. The single inheritance. Then there may be multi-level inheritance when there is a class A, and then there is a class B, and then there is a class C. Okay, it may be possible that there is a class A, let's say, and there is a class B, and there is a class C, and B is inheriting A, okay, and A C is inheriting B. So that will be multi-level inheritance. Okay. Here, every class A is independent class. A is not depending on anything. If we talk about A is not aware who all are inheriting it. Okay. B is dependent. B is inheriting class A, and it is not aware that there is a class C. Okay. C is inheriting class B. So C depends on B. C in fact doesn't know whether B inherits A also, right? So every class knows just its upper level. It's like this. Now the question is, what will happen with the class C? Class C will have all the properties of B as well as all the properties of A. Okay. Class B will have just the property of A. Class B will have the properties of class A only, whereas class C will have property of B as well as property of A as well as its own property. Okay, it's like this. So if we want to complete this and you want to do something else also, what we can do is, as I said, that I can create again a new function like calculate yearly salary in manager also. So if I say public void calculate salary, and here I'm saying that uh, my pattern to calculate the salary in managerial for manager is something like this. Okay, and we do commission, so that is spelling is this. let's say. And yeah, let's change something. So for manager, when we calculate the salary, we give them, apart from commission, we will give them 50,000 rupees extra for no reason. For no reason, we will give 50,000 rupees extra. Okay, let's say something like this. So if you see here, now computer should get confused. I am calling calculate salary, which is defined in the child class, means the same class here, as well as the calculate salary is defined here also, right? Here also, here also. So why will it get confused? Will it get confused? And commission, let's assign some value for commission. So I can write here m1 dot commission is equals to, let's say, 4%. Okay, so you can say m1 dot commission 4.00, done. And we are saying that after declaring all these values, we are saying calculate yearly salary. Fine. And let's run this. So what do you think? Which calculate salary will be called? Calculate. So what is the priority? If any class will have its own function, so this will be called. Any class, if they have their own function, right, which you are calling, so this will be called. If this function is not present here, then it will call its parents function. Then it will call its parents function. Okay. So for example, let me make a good salary 1,000. So the answer should be 1,000 into 12 will be 12,000. Commission is 4% of 12,000 will be, I guess, like 480 rupees. So 12,000 plus 480 plus 50,000, right? So that will be like 62,480, something like that should come. So if I run here, see here, 62,480 is coming because of this function. Okay, so this is called overriding. This is overriding concept. This is not overloading. Overloading is when this one is the overloading, where in the same class you have calculate yearly salary function defined 3 times, more than one time. 1, 2, 3. Function is name is same, but the implementation pattern is different. This is overloading. What is overriding? Overriding is when there is a relationship of parent and child, and you define the function which is already defined. You define a function which is already defined in the parent class. So that is called overriding. So that also comes under polymorphism concept. Okay. So let's understand the multi-level inheritance with the same example, ABC, so that things will be more clear. So I am creating a class actually by the name A. A. Done, finish. And here I am declaring some variable, integer X and character Y. Okay. And double Z also. Okay, done. Now I want to create another class. I'm creating another class called B, and B extends A. B extends A. Okay. and it has its own variable. So integer p and integer q. Okay, done. And then I want to create another class C, and that class C has, let's say, its own property. So class level variable will come after this class, right? So that will not be under any function. So here it will be integer r, only one variable, integer r. So let's observe one by one. And class C extends B. Okay, let's observe. Class A, class A has three variable: integer x, character y, double z. Great. Okay. Class B extends class A. It has its own two properties, P and Q. Now the question is, whenever you will create the object of class B, what will happen? Class C, which extends class B, has its own property, integer r. That's it. Okay. And let's see all the things so that it will be clear. So let me close here all others. Okay. So just observe this two class only. And let me open class C also if I'm able to open in another window. Great. All three we are able to see. Okay. Let me minimize this part. Okay. So if you see, class A has X, Y, and Z. Class B is P and Q. Class C has integer R. Now, if I create an object here, so I'm making a main function here, public static void main string AR, and okay. So we are creating object of B. So we'll write BO is equals to new B. So this is the way we create the object. And if I write B, simply BO dot, see how many things I am able to access: P, Q, X, Y, Z. Five things I'm able to access. Why? P and Q is its own property. X, Y, Z is coming from the parent class. It is not able to access R. It is not able to access integer R, which is there in class C, because there is no relationship. Class B is related to class A only, right? Class B is the parent of class C also, parent of class C also, but the properties comes from the parent only. So it's like real world relationship, right? You have you enjoy all the luxury and properties which your parent gives to you, right? And generally you don't enjoy, or you don't uh, you know see what your child has. It's like this: you enjoy the properties which is inherited from your parents. It's like this. So bo, if I write bo dot, I'm able to see pqr and xy. Okay, pq and xyz. And yeah, just I wanted to show this thing. And if I create object of C, so CCO is equals to new C. If I write, if I write CO dot, so C, class C will have PQ, which is coming from its parent, R, which is its own property, XYZ, which is coming from its grandparent. It's like this. So C has all the property of its parent and the grandparent. And this level can be up to any level, right? It's not like this can be just 3 level is possible. It can be any level. So this is called multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Okay. Now there are other inheritance called multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance means there is a class A and there is a class B, and you want to inherit both the properties in class C. So let's say if this is A, this is class B, and this is class C, and you want to inherit both the properties. If you want to inherit A at the same time class B's property, so this is not possible in Java. In Java, purely like extending, you cannot extend two class at the same time. So I cannot write C extends A comma B. Okay, this is not allowed in Java. In C++ programming, it is allowed, but in Java, this is not allowed. Okay, this is not allowed that C extends A and B both. Though there is a workaround to perform the same using interfaces, but purely in this way, it is not possible. So this is called multiple inheritance. This is multiple inheritance. Okay. Remember, this is multi-level when there are different levels. This is multiple inheritance when you want to inherit from two different classes. Okay. Then there is a hybrid. Hybrid means something like this. Hybrid will be something like, I'm just creating um, the diagram. Hybrid will be like this. When it will be like this, it will be like this, then this will be like this, something like this. Okay. So this will be hybrid. That is also not possible. Hybrid inheritance. Not possible in Java. Java is simply single inheritance and multiple inheritance. Okay. Though this is possible that there will be another class, let's say class D, okay, class D, which will inherit A also. Right? So that is possible because A is a class and you B inherits A and D also inherits A. That is possible. Okay, that's a single, because the relationship between A and B is just a single inheritance. Relationship between A and D is the single inheritance. Right? That is not multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance is this: when there is a class C which want to inherit two different classes. It's like this. Okay. So in this diagram, this ABCD, remember there is no relationship between B and D, right? We will not say it's a sibling or something. No, it's not like that. There is absolutely no relationship between B and D. B and D all both are their own class. B inherits A, D also inherits A. But that doesn't mean we will say B and D are the siblings or the child, because both are child of class A, so both should be brother sister. It's not like this in programming language. B simply inherits A, D inherits also inherits A. D will have all the properties which is present for A, but there is no relationship between B and D. Okay, so this is how inheritance works. Let me store it for all of you, so that with recording you will get this one also. So now here comes what is access specifier, right? What is access specifier? Can I declare this private? Can I declare integer x as private? And you may be wondering, I did not write anything like main function in the class A. So that proves that it's not like that, that you have to write the main function in Java program. Right? It's fine. Even if you will not write a main function, it's perfectly fine. You write the main function because you want to execute something. So class A, I don't want to execute something. I just want to declare variables. That is fine. I don't want to execute class A. If I want to execute class A, then I'll write my main function here. Okay. So as of now, I don't want to do that. So I declared X as private. So now if I try bo dot, so if you see here, X is eliminated here. X is gone. I cannot access X. Why I am not able to access X? Because X is the private property of class A. Nobody else can use it. X is a private property of class A. Other classes which inherits class A will not have it. It's like saying, see, this is my private thing. This is, so class A is saying, this is my private property. I will not give it to my child or anybody else. This is my private property thing. I may have many child. I'll not give it to anybody. It's my own. Okay. So that's why when I write bo dot x, I'm not able to have it. It's giving me error. And bo dot p q y z is available. P and q, it's in its own property. Y and z is the coming from the class A only. Okay, fine. So can I declare it here public? That doesn't matter here because by default, if you write public or not write it, if any class which extends class A will have the public property, and even if you not write it, it will be a default identifier that will be accessible. Okay, fine. Now the question is, same thing applies here. If I declare this as private, I'm declaring q as private. So here I'm doing co dot. Co dot has p but not q. R, which is its own property. Y and z, which is coming from its grandparent. Okay. So that's fine. Why we are not able to have Q? Because Q is the private property of class P. So that's why we are not able to have Q here. Great. So private properties will be accessible to its own class. So when you create the object of BO itself, then Q is available. So BO dot Q is there. There is no issue because that is its own property. But C will not have the private property of its parent. Great. Then there is a one thing called protected. Protected. Okay. So will I have access to Z now? Let's see. bo dot Z. Yes, I'm able to have it. Great. And will it be accessible on C also? co.z, yes, I have. So protected members are accessible if you are on the same package. So protected members are accessible when you are on the same package. So I am inside the practice.java, ABC, all are in the same package practice. So that's why I'm able to access all the protected properties of each other classes if you are extending it, obviously. So this is about access specifier thing and about the inheritance. Now, I already talked about why this is good to have uh, inheritance, because if you see here, I don't have to declare employee ID, salary, and name property for different kind of employee. So manager is another kind of employee only, right? There may be then sales employees. You can create another class, sales employee, that will also extend employee, right? There may be different kind of employee and you can make it. So the thing is, when there is a generalized thing, you put it into the parent class. So these are the generalized thing. Every employee will have ID, name, and salary, correct? Then there are specialized things. So whenever there is a specialized thing, then you will create the child class. It's like this. Okay. Coming back to our employee and manager example, this manager can have their own function also. It's not like just all the overriding function. They can have their own public void, let's say, um, appraisal. Appraisal is a function, right? So I'm not writing, I'm just writing here that do appraisal, right? Some kind of function is there. Now I can call this by m1 dot appraisal. I can call this function, and that will work. Whenever you will call it, that appraisal function is called and it's working. But employee class, can I write here even dot appraisal? Can I write here even dot appraisal? No, it's not accessible because employee is the parent class. Employee is the parent class. These will not have the functions which is written in its child class. So employee, which is a parent class, independent parent class, they cannot see what function you have on their child. Their child has appraisal class, appraisal function. Appraisal function is the property of manager class. So manager, through the manager's object, you can call the appraisal function. Okay. Employee has its own function. Calculate salary, this kind of calculate. So they can call just calculate salary or whatever function you will have here. There may be another function here that will be called in this employee class, possibly. So all the functions which employee has will be accessible to the manager, but all the functions which manager has will not be accessible to employee. Okay. So I'm taking some questions. I'm just checking, wait for some time. Is overriding is also a kind of polymorphism? Yes, overriding is part of polymorphism only. So polymorphism is one of the OOPS concept, object-oriented programming concept. Overloading and overriding both comes under polymorphism. What will be the error in case of multiple inheritance? There will be no error. It will not allow you. It will not allow you. It's not like that you will be able to write the program and then you will run it and then some error will come. It will not at all allow you. So for example, I cannot write random things here, right? So can I write uh, m1 dot display, right? Why and I'll do it, right? I'm not able to write it. It's showing me error. I cannot run this program. Why? Because it has error. It's saying that display is not defined. In the same way, when you will try to do multiple inheritance. So here, if I say it extends employee as well as C, right? So what I'm writing that manager class extends employee, comma C. So I want to extend employee as well as C. So it's showing me error. I'll not be able to run it. Okay. Because this syntax itself is wrong. You can extend just one class. Okay, let me see more questions. Um, can we define any class as private? Wow, good question. So here, if you see by default, whenever we define a class, it comes as public. Can we do it private? Yes, we can do. But what is the error? It's saying me illegal modifier for class A, only public abstract and final are permitted. So this is saying me that you cannot create a function, a class as private. In C++, that is possible. Okay. So whatever comes to you, try it on your own, and the error is sufficient to understand. Then, if you are not able to get it, then you search in Google. Can we have the private class in Java? So see here, when I write private, it's saying that either you should write public or abstract and final. So abstract class we will see later on. Okay, fine. What else? Does C can extend class A? So you are saying there is a loop. Can we make a loop? So you are saying A is extending B. So sorry, B is extending A. C is extending B. So can C can extend class A? C, no, C will not be able to. Once you extend a class, you cannot extend another class. C, which is extending class B, cannot extend class A. That will become this diagram, which is not possible. That will become the multiple inheritance diagram. C, which is inheriting A as well as class B, that is not possible. Protected means we cannot access if the package is different. Yes. What is final? Is final class can be inherited. Final. So final is a keyword which is used with the variable, not with the class. Okay. Final, we'll see about it actually. So final is a keyword which is used with the variable and the function. So if you are using it with the variable, you cannot change it. If you're using it with the function, you cannot override it. You cannot redefine a final function. But class, I'm not sure if final class is possible. Can we write final for class in Java? I am also searching. You can declare that your class is final. That is that your class cannot be subclassed. Yes. So you can use the final keyword with the class, and once you declare a class as final, you cannot inherit it. So you cannot subclass it. Subclass means you cannot make a child class out of it. Yeah, so that is the use of final. If parent and base class, if parent and base class has same function, and if we call that function then which class function is execute? So that I already uh, have shown through employee and manager, right? Employee has calculate salary. Manager also has calculate yearly salary. But which one is called? Simply, you are creating an object of manager. If you are creating an object of manager and you are calling it to manager's object, then the manager's function will be called. If this function is not present here, then it will call the parents class calculate yearly salary function. Can we use inheritance between different package? Yes, it's possible that you will inherit from different package. So one package has one class and another package has another class. That another class want to inherit the class which is present in other package is possible.